So here's what we got today. Just air handler, blower motor. I had a bearing fail last week. Well, the bearing bracket failed. See, I put some nuts and bolts to get them some temporary cooling. Those rivets and these 2 points here broke and the bearing fell out. So we're gonna get a new bracket and bearing on here. This is a split tapered hub pulley. Like I was saying, split tapered hub pulley. So we're gonna start by getting this pulley off here. Actually, gonna make a measurement first, get an idea of where our pulley's set so we can keep it as lined as well as possible. So we're at 2 3/4 to the outside of that pulley. Split tapered hub comes off pretty easily. Shouldn't need to clean too much. And just rotate our bolts here, here. And as we tighten down, this pulley is gonna push the pulley off of the split tapered hub. So we're going to tighten evenly. And there goes the pulley. That hub's not going to move. So we're gonna clean this up, make our lives a little easier. Split tapered hub. Key out of there. Luckily there was no shaft damage or blower damage. All that was checked when I was here last, so this stuff should slide off pretty easy. Get our bearing loose. Maybe. That's basically how I found it, with the belt thrown off and froze up. We may have to get a puller on that bearing. So we got our gear puller hooked up. Break this bearing loose, it should slide off pretty easy. There she goes. we got our shaft cleaned up. Now we gotta get this old bracket out of the way. And I have to get nuts and bolts in here on the new bracket because they don't send you anything to secure it with, but we're gonna have to drill these out. Only 3 more to go. So we got our new bracket. Old bracket out. And we're just gonna go. That's the bolts to hold this thing in. Kind of just like I held that bearing in place. Got lock washers and nylon threaded nuts to go on the outside, so this thing won't move by the time I'm done with it. It did pretty good. It lasted for about a week with the bearings like that. So we'll get this set in place and then throw the new bearing on, and I'm already screwing up because that shaft's got to go in between there. There, that might work a little better. One step at a time. So we got our bracket in place. We're gonna slide our new bearing on. It's gonna press right back into this. Screwed up again. Shit. Put my bearing on backwards, guys. Pay attention to what you're doing. And if you notice that slid back, I just pushed it out of the back bearing too. So this has got to go this way. So that one's in there. Before we do anything else, we're gonna have to slide that back bearing back in. Make sure the shaft comes out. So after you've done this a few times, you'll get a feel for it. But like I said, the back bearing slid out. It was in good shape, and the bracket is in good shape as well. So I do have 2 bearings. I'm gonna go ahead, change this bearing out, leave the bracket, and then we can leave this bearing just as an emergency spare. Alright, we're back. Rear bearings on. Slide this. That popped on there. And you feel it lock down. Now that locks this bearing into place. Time for some new Allen keys, guys. The end of this one's broke, so I can't get any leverage the other way. Never notice this stuff till you need it. We're gonna make sure we're good and tight there. Pulley back into place. You can see where the split taper threads in to lock it in place, and then you rotate those bolts and push that taper right out of there. So we're about set back in place. We were about, I said 2 3/4. It was like 2 11/16, so I'm set just a little bit over 2 3/4, because as I tighten these down, actually I need to go the other way, because as I tighten it down, it's going to pull, the pulley's going to come towards me here. So we're going to slide it just a little bit past what we wanted, and then crank down on those. Again, going evenly after we try to skip another step and leave our key out. Just like the shaft, we don't want to booger that up. So. So that should pull us right out about to where we need to be. Tight on these. Get a belt on it. Check our amp draw. Go from there. So we've got a dual voltage motor, so we're going to check our incoming power. I think it's 480. It's 10.2 amps at 208 230. 4.8 amps at 480. So that's where we're at. Let's see what we got. I gotta turn the thermostat on. So let's try this again. We're running 5.3, 5.4 amps. Check the amp draw again. I may need to adjust this down a little bit. Make sure. I might have misread. It might have been 5.8. So here's our data tag. And I was wrong. It's 5.8. So we should be good to go. 5.3 amps. Charge and everything was checked on the service call. So we're going to call this one good.